And welcome back to Georgette School of Business and Life, where I give you my tips on business and life. I'm so excited today to be back with you, and I'm doing something a little different. First, before I get into that, I want to encourage you all to make sure you click that subscribe button below. And if you like this video, go ahead and like it and then share it with your friends. I want everyone to get the same great content that you are about to experience today. So today we have a special guest. I've never done a guest on my channel before, and so I'm so happy to have Vanessa Harris with me today. She's my friend. I met her in a choir a church choir that we are a part of, and I was so excited just to get to know her. Vanessa is such a wonderfully warm person, so friendly. She just welcomed me with open arms, invited me to her home just right away. And I was new to the area, and she just really took me in, and we're pretty much like sisters now. And I just love it. And so today she is my expert to talk about building relationships in divisive times. I mean, I think we all can agree that there's a lot of hate, unfortunately, going on across the races, across people groups, probably in families, people getting a little tired of each other in the house, quarantining together, whatever the case may be. And so I really wanted to have Vanessa come and talk to you about this today. Not only is she a great relationship builder, just naturally, she has some really important professional skills behind this as well. So let me just read a little bit about her, and then I'll let her add on. So Vanessa Harris is recognized as an exceptional mentor and coach with over 30 years of innate leadership abilities. She has helped the community by enriching the lives of youth and families and achieving their personal and professional development. She is proficient in utilizing her teaching gifts and talents to create a learning environment that promotes an exciting and stimulating learning experience for individuals, families, and organizations. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you, thank you. This is awesome. I love what you're doing and empowering women and men and families and youth. I mean, this is just what's needed today. Perfect timing.
Absolutely. Well, let's just jump into this. I want to talk about relationships. So, just as an example, we've had many opportunities with a lot of the events that have gone on in the past year to be offended or even taken aback with maybe even some of our close friends. There were a lot of opinions going on in the election. A lot of things happen with the different things that are happening at the Capitol, the change in administration. And I've seen a lot of friendships just really broken up. People are unfriending people on Facebook and just going their separate ways. Have you seen the same thing happening?
Definitely. I even had someone that I considered as like you, someone that I've mentored when she was a young lady, and now she's a professor out in Utah, and she has a doctorate degree. Well, she disagreed with something that I put out there on Facebook that was a recorded educational training program, and because it didn't have who she expected to be on there, she disagreed, and she what you call it, defriended me.
Mm,
And I was
wow.
just, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? Wow, that was very surprising and disappointing, and I was very saddened by that. That this young lady, watched her grow and obtain her doctorate degree. And she's in the diversity and equity and inclusion even area. But it just further just goes to tell you that we all have our emotional areas in our behaviors and in our lives that we need to be reflective on and we need to deal with and consider our behavior as it affects others around us. This is what it's all about: civility and what you're doing and how it affects other people.
Yeah, that's very true. So share with me just some things about that. I know relationships are so important. I really believe that we were built and created by God for relationships. And if that's going awry on this earth, I think it's just going to continue to go in the wrong direction. How can we turn ourselves around?
I think that that's an excellent question, but I really think it deals with the heart. It really deals with, you know, like the scripture tells us, we have to esteem our brothers higher than ourselves. And when you think about the relationship, that in that word in itself, a relation that you need to have, and the ship part being that it's mutual, it's, you know, building a team, building camaraderie, relating with one another, meaning that you it's give, it's take, it's listening, it's learning, it's appreciating one another. It's, you know, sometimes I think in our world today, people have such a narcissistic um, attitude and behavior. Me. Sometimes I see people on Facebook and all they do is take a bunch of selfies. We seem to be so looking at ourselves in the mirror entirely too much. I said, Lord help me, because I find that so, I don't know. You know, I just, because my heart is always to love on others. And I mean, I thank God that I love myself, but you know, I'm not like the word narcissist. This, it was based on a man, a king, a prince, or something he was, and he looked at himself in the mirror and just fell in love with himself. You know, and it's like, wow, is that where we are today? That we're just taking selfies and posting all about ourselves on Facebook and Instagram, and it's me. It's a very selfish behavior. And I just think that people are off on the wrong track. We need to reel ourselves back in and just, you know, why are we here? What are we doing? You know, we need each other to
Mhm.
to 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 be successful, to, you know, to be promoted, to have, whether you're trying to be an entrepreneur and you're trying to have products, you still need to consider your clients and people that you're going to market these products to or this service to. What are their needs? You know, it can't be based on just, well, I want this and I'm going to market this because that's what I like. Well, no, not if you really want to be successful. And people can tell when you are, um, you know, not sincere and not caring and loving, just like an animal. Like they say, dogs can sniff out when you're scared, or when you, well, even babies, they say, can tell emotionally if someone is really loving them or caring for them. And, you know, we exude that type of, you know, feelings and behaviors. And so I just pray and hope that people will, you know, be more caring, more loving, more empathetic today than ever before. I think we're just missing that part of us.
Right. Do you think it's maybe something with us not feeling some kind of way about ourselves? Like I know sometimes you can reflect out what you're missing inside, and there's a saying that hurt people hurt other people, and maybe people are not feeling that they're wanted or that they have enough value, so they project these mean feelings. So it's like, let me draw more attention to myself so that I'll feel like I'm worthy. Do you think that's a part of it as well?
Yes, I do. And I think the only way that you can really examine yourself is you may have to ask other people, you know, people that you trust, people that you feel love you, and ask them to be honest with you about your behaviors and how you know, when because of my background in sales and marketing for, you know, practically my entire life. I was a little girl, a child, and selling art pieces to family and friends,
Mhm.
and selling floral arrangements, you know, like as a teenager. So I've always had this thing of assessing others' needs, seeing what they like, seeing what, you know, make people smile. So, but you have to know yourself. You have to know your character, your areas of strengths. You know, what are you good at? When people talk about you, what do they say about you? What, you know, and you don't need people to be around you that's just going to pat you on the back all the time and give you a yes, yes, oh, you're wonderful, oh, you're this or you're that. No, you need people that's going to be balanced and is going to tell you, you know, the way you said that could, you know, be a little offensive. I asked my daughter and my niece, you know, or I will ask you, you know, Georgette, do you think I said this improperly? could I have said this a little differently? I have a dear friend, her name is Cheryl, and she lives in Tampa. And she says, Vanessa, do you realize that when you're trying to get people's attention, that you clap your hands and you say, and I'm like, no, I don't. And she says, yes, you do. You do. And I'm like, really? There's things we don't recognize about ourselves that others do. So over the years in the sales and marketing career that I've had, we've always done personality profiles because I had to assess my physicians, the doctors, the healthcare professionals, the nurses, and administrators, and I had to understand, were they a driver? Were they expressive? Were they amiable? Were they analytical? I had to understand that first about myself. And when I've taken these personality profiles, I am a expressive first and a driver second. So I use my hands a lot when I talk. I'm very expressive. People say, I know when you don't like something, it shows on your face. And I have to make myself, okay, sometimes that's a strength, but sometimes it's also a challenge because I got to make myself, okay, Vanessa, if everybody's watching you, you can't, if you don't like that, how is that going to make a difference or impact other people when you frown and you look like, oh, this is terrible. So you have to know yourself. You have to, I would say, first and foremost, you have to get an assessment of yourself. So take that personality class, you know, uh, but then be able to be transparent. Let people ask them to be, help me, because I know that there's things I don't like. And I know that there's things that I could do better. I think that today people don't really are you trying to get your good to be better and your better to be best? Are you working on being a better person? Are you working on making a difference? Are you just satisfied, this is who I am, this is how I'm going to be? Then okay. But we have to decide our purpose, who we are. Are we a part of a group? Are we a part of a family? Do we have children that are looking at us? Are we in a community that you know, when they see us, do they run from us, or are they loving on us? Are they glad to see us, or are they going, oh, here she comes, oh my goodness, so I think that being self-reflective is so critical today, because all of us have our, right now with the racism and the tension and all that's going on in our country, we all have prejudices. We all have unconscious biases. And we need to, wow, I didn't know I felt that way.
So you were talking about knowing ourselves and how important it is to know ourselves and to do those personality profiles and to get that self-assessment done before you can even begin to start to reach out and be a better person to someone else. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, that was the last thing I think we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's paramount. In order for us to help others, we have to be able to know ourselves, understand who we are.
Got it. Wow. So what would you say to someone who is listening and they've maybe have done some of that work and they're like, well, I think I know myself pretty well. I have some friends and they all look like me and everybody says I'm great. Uh, what should that person be thinking about?
Don't believe it. Don't believe it. We all have our strengths and challenges. And you want to be able to broaden your circle. I believe that sometimes we get so comfortable, we're too comfortable, and the world needs us. That means Asians, African Americans, people from Africa, Hispanics, Muslims. So we need to, open up our gates, our ear gates, our eye gates, embrace other nationalities and other people, our Jewish community. Years ago when Martin Luther King, when he did the marches and everything, he had a strong relationship with the Jewish community.
And then it was Catholics. There was a lot of nuns. There were people that came together, and we saw that this in 2020. It was across the world. People were coming together, especially after the killing of George Floyd. It really just illuminated, oh my God, are people that evil? Are people that mean towards one another, as another human being? you know it really helped people to say, this is not who we are. This is not how we're made to be and to live together, and to care about one another. That was just, I mean, it was a huge awakening.
Mhm.
And it was around the world. It wasn't just in the United States. It wasn't just in Minneapolis, so wherever it happened, or in Chicago or Detroit, where we've oftentimes seen this. But I believe God was getting us to go back to our basics, understanding who He is in our lives, understanding what we are here for, who we are, our purpose, to care and to love and to take care of one another. All this selfishness is not the way to go. We have to be in a place where we treat one another properly. We care for people. We love people unconditionally, regardless of the color of our skin, regardless of the texture of our hair, or our body, how we're made, how God made us. He made each and every one of us. And to point your finger and say, oh, they're evil, or even look, when you look at the politics and the Democrats and the Republicans and the whole attitude in the election, and how people wanted to kill one another. I mean, it's that's not civility. That's
Mhm.
not good manners. That's not good behavior. To appreciate your brothers and your sisters. I mean, it was so much division, and it was just sad and horrifying to me. So I believe we've got to get back to a place of just basics, who we are, being able to listen to one another, being able to have a mindset. I have 5 L's. Listen to one another. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth to be able to really hear what people are saying, and listening to what they're saying, trying to understand one another. Learn, the L for learning. Take time to get to know one another. We don't take time to invite people to our homes, or to, call somebody up and ask them about themselves. Really get to know people, and then lament about, well, wow, I didn't know this, and I'm so sorry about that. I have to change my ways. I have to change my thinking. I was indoctrinated in a society that really didn't explain all the history, or a bunch of lies, a bunch of hidden history. We need to lament, and then to be able to leverage, the gifts and the talents and the skills that we bring together. That's why diversity is so key and so important. It's because you do so much better when you have a diverse people in the room, different ages, different religions, or nationalities and ethnicities. And when you can pull everybody together, and you get their opinion about something. If we were trying to build a mall, or trying to build a building, or whatever, you do it so much better when you than having everybody that looks like you, or that talk like you. And then the fifth one is the love. Is to really love, to really, care for people, and esteem other people higher than yourself. To really, make people feel that you really care, and you want to embrace them, and help. We're helpers. We should be helpers, one to the other.
Wow. That's awesome. Those 5 L's. I think people can really take those and actually think about that and how they can apply those into their own lives.
Mhm.
Something you mentioned that I want to like key off a little more is is taking that time to reach out and get to know someone. That really takes some bravery and some courage on your level to like go outside of your comfort zone, meet some
Yes.
people that don't look like you, that haven't been where you've been. I'll just tell a quick personal story. I'm working on this series right now that I'm doing to talk to many different business experts and bring them all together for a mastermind series. And I'll
Mm,
tell you, I was really hesitant to start reaching out to people I just didn't know and asking them if they would be so kind to come on the series. And I'm telling you, Vanessa, I have met some of the most wonderful people from all over the country and some of them in Canada. And these are just wonderful people. I mean, they just have had similar life experiences, some very different, but they all have a perspective to bring to the table. So it really takes that bravery. So thank you
yeah.
for bringing that out.
I talk about that a lot in regards to the risks that we take in building relationships. You know, the risk that it takes for people to love you or to care for you. Yes, we have to be vulnerable. We have to accept that vulnerability if you want to move forward. It is a risk, and we just have to take that risk. I don't think that we need to be just you know uh, I don't know what's the word, careless, and just putting yourself out there to be harmed. No, but I think that, like you said, to see yourself as somebody that's going to be, it's socially awareness. It's social awareness that you're saying, you know what, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to see who would be like me, have a compassion about helping others, have a commitment attitude to not be a quitter. That can you trust people? And it means that you got to take time. It takes time building relationships, but you have to have a mindset it will be worth it in the end, because you're looking for success. We're not looking for a quick, fast, hurry up and get it done. No, we need to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. But I often think about the Lord and the horizontal axis as he was on that cross. And the horizontal axis to me just clearly shows that he stretched his arms wide for us. And that means he was vulnerable. And that's how we have to be. If we want to be like Christ, we that means we're going to be vulnerable. And we have to trust that God will keep us and protect us. And Lord, direct my footsteps. I don't want to go and be around somebody that is going to harm me. But in order for me to embrace, in order for me to open up and take those risks, and then it's going to require some risk. It's going to require some courage, a lot of courage, a lot of self-denial. But that's what it takes to build those strong relationships, to be
Right.
successful.
Yeah, I completely agree. And maybe you can talk a little bit about like, so once, we've given up people a lot of things that they can start to try to do and action steps to take to walk down that road of self-discovery and then being vulnerable and using those 5 L's to assess themselves and to move forward in building those relationships. What does it look like on the other side? Like what would the perfect society look like if we all really were doing those things and moving in the direction of having these great relationships? What do you think that would look like?
I would think it would look like a phenomenal team. There's no I in team, meaning that people would be willing to help one another, because then you're going to turn around and help them. In order for me to be successful, that means I'm going to say, okay, Georgette, what are you really good at? Because we can be helpers one to the other. And when we join arms together, we lock hands together, because we need one another. It would be a phenomenal world. It would be nothing that we can't do together. As we research, as we find our skills and our talents, and we pull all of that together, it would be phenomenal, because I'm not hating on you. I'm not jealous because of who you are and what you look like and I want to be like you. No, I'm going to care for you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to esteem you. I'm going to respect you. I'm going to treat you with dignity. I'm going to treat you because you're valuable. And if the world was like that, but it takes time and it takes practice. It takes a commitment. It takes a person saying, you know what, I want good people around me. I want to find people that's going to have the same compassion and love and drive. And, I'm going to appreciate people. So I have to start with myself. I got to start with finding those people and not being afraid, coming out of fear, coming out my comfort, and saying, you know what, I want to get to know my coworker better. I want to get to know my neighbor better. I want to invite people, like we used to do. You move into a neighborhood and you would take food over so you can get to know a person. You're offering something. We have to be willing to give of ourselves. So I think it would be a phenomenal world if we
Wow.
were to
Yeah.
come together. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like it. And I like how you put that together about, excuse me, there's no I in team. It's just we're just all working together, all going towards a common goal. I mean, if we think about some of the ills that are in the world today, how many of them could we solve if we all came together and we're really working together to try to fix these things? How many more countries could have access to clean water, for example, just, the simple things, enough food to feed everyone that's there, if we weren't fighting against each other. And so, climate change, whatever the case might be, there's so many things that we could fix if we would just come together. So it's really, I think sometimes people get a little caught up and stumble over the fact that it's like, well, is it really all about black and white? Is it really just about race? I don't have a problem with that, they might think or say. It's really bigger than that, if we look at it.
Mhm.
So I do want to ask you something, though. You were talking to me when we were talking earlier, kind of moving into that diversity, equity, and inclusion space that's
Mhm.
very, popular front and center right now for great reason.
Mhm.
But I don't think everyone has a clear understanding of what it even means. You gave me a wonderful example of what the equity part means. I think a lot of people are like, oh, we just make everyone the same. That's like socialism or whatever. We don't want that. But explain, can you give that to our listeners, that example that you gave to me? I thought that was wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I saw this little cartoon, and the cartoon was actually, if you wanted to Google, you can Google um, equality versus equity. And what it showed was a father, a tall man, and then his son, his older son, maybe about 10 years old, and then a little brother, a little son, maybe about 3. Now, if you wanted to have equality, you would give all 3 of them the same size box to stand on as they're trying to look over a fence and see a baseball game. Okay. Now, the father is a tall man. Just say he's 6 feet. If you give him that box, he's going to be towering now over that fence. If you give the 10-year-old the exact same box, he may be able to see a little bit over the fence. If you give the 3-year-old the same box, he still can't see over the fence. So that's equality. Everybody getting the exact same thing, regardless of their height, the age, or whatever. But equity, if you give the father no box, just let the father stand up. He could see over the fence. He's fine. He can see the baseball game. If you give the older boy, the 10-year-old, you may give him 2 boxes to stand up so he can be on the same height as his father and see the game greatly. But the 3-year-old, the little bitty fella, you may need to give him 3 boxes or 4 boxes so he can now see and be at the same height as his father. That's equity. That's allowing everybody to see clearly, to have the same opportunity to see for success, for their goals. But we have done it with equality. That's why I'm so glad that we're constantly on this journey. It's a journey. We don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. But when we could say, let's work this together. Let's figure this out now. How is it going to be a benefit for all of us, and help all of us to be able to do this that we're trying to achieve, whatever our achievement is or whatever we're working on. But we have to do it in a frame and a mindset that, I just want to do the right thing. I just want to help people. I want to be a better person. I don't want to just say it, but I want to be a doer. I don't want to just, oh yes, I can read these books, or I can go to these movies, I can watch this documentary. Okay, but then what's next? What's your next steps? Take what you learn, take it and leverage it, use it, research it, educate yourself, and do it. Go to some museums or places that you've never been. Go to the Holocaust museums. Go to the Muslim museums. Go to the Catholics or the Jewish. Build relationships like that. Expand yourself. Expand your learning. Use all these different tools so you can have those courageous, critical conversations. So you can be knowledgeable, and you can do it in love. You can do it in a spirit that's, we're all learning, and then when your areas of challenge in your personality, and you're building your emotional intelligence about yourself, then you could say, okay, maybe I shouldn't say it this way or think about it this way, because that may be offensive to other people. So, it's a journey. It's a journey that we're all needing as we build these relationships, as we, in these very turbulent and divisive times that we're in. We can't bury our heads in the sand and act like it's not there. We're still having to go out to the grocery stores and buy food. We still have to go to work. We still have to, mingle with people and be in social events or whatever. And you need to be able to have conversations and be sincere of who you are. Be your true self, that's going to be caring and loving and reflective and transparent, where people want to be around you.
Wow, that's excellent, Vanessa. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just wanted to say that you just brought out one of the reasons why I even have this channel. I really want to be a box. I want to be several boxes for people. I want to give out those resources, those tools that someone that may not be in that equitable state, that they can get up to where they need to be so they can catch up to that place, so that they can see over that fence and see that and enjoy that baseball game. So thank you so much for sharing that example. And I just thought that was wonderful when you told me. I was like, she has to share that with everyone. But I just want to start to bring this to a close. This has been such a wonderful conversation, and just really encourage anybody that's still watching with us. Hopefully you stayed all the way to the end. Go ahead and put some comments down below around what really resonated with you. What are the 5 L's that you're going to start to take action on? What are you going to do? How are you going to get out of your comfort zone? I'd love to start the conversation with you. So with that, Vanessa, do you have any last words to share with anybody that may be listening?
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, Georgette. I am so proud of you. You are a leader. You are a great leader, and you're leading by example, and you're leading with action. You are a phenomenal woman, and I'm just so proud of you, of how you are making a difference. You're making an impact. You are doing it. You are resourceful. You are a wonderful mother and daughter and sister and auntie. You're a blessing, and I just want to empower everyone that's listening to, take the next steps. Do what's good for your home, for your family, for yourself, for your community, for this nation, for this world. It's so much to be done, and we need your help. So thank you, Georgette.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Vanessa. And everyone else, I will see you soon. Bye.